The rise of anti-intellectualism is not just scary, and it doesn't even just apply to super intellectual concepts. There's always been people that have existed in the world that don't really care to learn much, to learn about their place in society, the systems they benefit from, the systems that hurt them, etc. But it has gotten so bad to the point where you can pose the most simple concept. Break it into bite-sized pieces, explain in terms that should be understood by like an 8th grade level, and the response is overwhelmingly negative, coming from the place of, it's not that deep. No, actually, girl, you're wrong. Okay, and I'm supposed to care why? Okay, I'm supposed to care why. If you go to the comment section of the video I posted yesterday about shaving existing because of patriarchy, just go check it out. And that comment section is huge. There are over
Shaving exists because of a patriarchy. I already see where this is going. Let me let's digress. Hold on.
2,000 filtered comments that have been filtered by TikTok, just full of people that genuinely have no desire to form a thought. And it's really scary and also really disheartening because humans have always existed and continue to exist because people want to learn more, want to learn about the systems that we have in place. Like I mentioned, the systems we benefit from, the systems that hurt us, our place within those systems. And I feel like we've gotten to a point on the internet, specifically with Gen Z, where they just go, this conversation is exhausting.
I'd have to actually add to that, and there's a lot of truth to that statement. So, what they call is something the Gen Z stare. Like you notice it when you're out, maybe at a restaurant, if you're at fast food, anywhere like a retail store, and you have the younger generation, just like their social interactions are completely off and awkward. And for me, it's like I look at it like they grew up in a different age and a different time. They grew up on computers. They lack that social interaction that I had growing up. I grew up in the 90s and the 80s. So there was no tablets, no computers, no smartphones. We actually had to go outside and interact. You'd have to knock on your neighbor's door or call and ask for somebody if you wanted to talk to them. So I think just being like I guess overburdened or over like stimulated with technology and so many different and then we're being desensitized because you can go online, Instagram, TikTok, well not so much TikTok, but like Instagram and Twitter, and you can see anything. You can see people getting unalived, you can see violence, you can see nudity, it's all out there in the open. So it makes it difficult when such a at such a young age we're exposed. And also I think some of it has to do with actual like institutions and schools and what they teach, sometimes being a little bit too, I guess, liberal with the ideology can be a detriment. I think we need structure, to each his own, but it definitely needs structure in society. And for whatever reason, I think they're too focused on things that don't really move the needle. But I thought that was extremely funny. She did a video post on why shaving is for the patriarchy.
So tired of this conversation. When you are posed with some sort of reflection towards yourself, towards society, what are we gonna do? How do you expect things to get better from where we are now if you can't even fucking form a thought about your choices, reflect on your action, reflect on where your desires, your belief system, where it comes from, where it stems from?
You know what? Not being able to form a thought or have the ability to use logic. I think a lot of it too is like even now, like Chat GPT, you got so many like not only younger generations, but I say they rely on it more. They're more tech savvy, but a lot of them won't form a thought without going through Chat GPT. And I have to catch myself sometimes. Like I use it for a lot. I use it for business work, but I also want to challenge myself. So at some point, I'm like, look, you have to ease off and not be solely reliant on AI. So I think there's a fair balance of like being able to use critical thinking and not having to use all these tools that we have today that takes away from it. So I think sometimes boredom is good for you. Boredom allows you to be creative. Boredom gives you the ability to think and form opinions and thoughts for yourself. I think we constantly need to be stimulated over and over again, and it becomes problematic. But I definitely would have to say it's society and the era they grew up in is really contributing to why they are the way they are. But at this point is like, what's the solution? We do have, I think I've seen a group of like Gen Zs that are really focused on dropping the phones, picking up books, actually going out and buying CDs instead of everything digitized, downloading online. So there are people that are aware, and there's studies out there showing that the impact, not only as an adolescent, as a child throughout your hood, the impact that screens have on us. So I think it's only going to get worse. So I don't know. At some point, it just like the government has to maybe step in and set some guides. I think it was either in Australia and I think also Florida. They set a social media limit. I think you have to be like 16 or so. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad if they started to roll that out a little bit more often. We got people with undeveloped brains giving opinions on things that they have no experience in. And don't get me wrong, like intelligence is great, but having life experience really does matter. If you haven't been through anything and you're living in your echo chamber, your bubble, you don't have the ability to come outside of that thought and actually, I guess, compare and contrast to other things and other situations. Like a lot of times we down what the situation or environment we're in without actually having a contrast or comparison. Go to another country, travel, get out there, get in different social groups, challenge your thoughts. But I think she does have a point. Gen Z does lack intellectualism. So let's see.
I think we've memed ourselves into oblivion. It's not that deep and it's not that serious, our way into fascism. And how do you, the next generation of people, expect the world to get better if you can't even reflect? Anti-intellectualism does not just apply to crazy, intense academics. It applies to everyday things like what I
just had to pause that because you notice we're seeing those buzzwords, fascism. So I think, like, again, I feel like you're in your think tank, you're on your own echo chamber. A lot of that's been pushed through, I guess, media, mass media. So it's like, realistically, like, most of society is herd thinking. So you hear some of the same rhetoric repeated throughout different channels, and then you start to identify like, okay, this is actually maybe an agenda that's been pushed. Because I've been around long enough to see the cycles and how things transition, and we have phases. Because nobody legitimately cares. Something will be popular for whatever period of time, and then we move on to the next thing to be angry about or to raise a fuss. So it's like, I think it's more social engineering, and there's people that are actually pushing these agendas opposed to people having their own thoughts. Because why is it that most of the people that fit her description with the septum rings and the certain hairstyle, the pixie cuts and stuff, they all have the same ideology? I think that's definitely has something to do with somebody pushing the agenda. So
just said. And I guess to summarize, my question is, why do you not want to think? Why is it exhausting or annoying or not that deep when you are posed with a concept that requires a smidge of reflection? Is that not deeply embarrassing to you? That you have become so numb to the world around you that when you're presented with digestible, bite-sized information that encourages you to reflect, you hate it. That is crazy. I'm so scared for the future.
yeah, I think if you don't exercise a muscle, like say if you're going to the gym, if you don't exercise your back or your biceps, it's exhausting. You're fatigued. You don't have the stamina. So I think because things are difficult, that could be a issue. If you're not exercising something, then you usually it results in avoidance. So instead of just like honing those skills, they just completely avoid it because you're thinking of her from a perspective. I'm not sure what era she grew up in, but I would assume she's definitely not a Gen Z. She looks a little young, but I would assume that she grew up in an era where we still had critical thinking skills. Now, even for example, even for music, most of the music genres, let's say if it's regional, everybody had a different sound from different regions. Now, blanketed music sounds the same almost unanimously, can't even say it, throughout different regions. Like it's similar sounding music before you could identify. But I think that's just like a consequence of the internet and making the world a much smaller place, and influence is real. But I'll go ahead and leave a link to her bio in the description. You let me know what you think. Do you think Gen Z is anti-intellectualism, or are we just being too hard on them because they're growing up in a different time and we need to be more understanding? Let me know what you think in the comments.